All right, you guys, so my name is Whitney Haynes, and today we are going to be talking about doing a great spa slash facial presentation. And really, guys, the information that I'm going to share just pertains to any group event or group presentation that you're doing, no matter the topic. So if you're doing facials and mud mask, if you're doing foot spas, if you're doing nutrition, if you're doing makeup, doesn't matter. These tips are just going to be across the board. So I've actually wrote down 10 things that I'm going to talk about quickly because a lot of these things, you guys, are incorporated with other trainings, and I will reference the other trainings that we've done in this summer Sizzle series. But I can't talk about doing a great spa or facial presentation without kind of reiterating some of those facts that you guys have heard before. So my number one in having an awesome spa slash facial presentation is showing up early. And I know that we hear Beth say this all the time, but if you are a new consultant that's going back and watching this recording and trying to figure out how to have an awesome spa, it's very crucial to how the event turns out that you show up early, you set your products out early, and that you're prepared so that when your guests are arriving, you're not like in the stressed out frenzy trying to be like, oh my gosh, where are my order forms? Where's my catalogs? Where's my RE9? Oh gosh, what happened with the intensive renewal serum? So make sure that you have everything set out, you're ready to go, and as guests are walking in, it just frees you up to become more social. Because guys, there are things that happen sometimes, and traffic happens, and gosh, like something could happen on your vehicle. There's all these like hiccups that could occur. And I've been in those situations before where I'm literally like pulling things out of my bag at the last minute, and my head is not free so that I can communicate with people at the presentation. And you guys, our ultimate goal is to leave that presentation with a business builder appointment, right? So we are looking for people to do Arbonne with us. So that's my ultimate goal. And if I can't talk to them, conversate with them, and figure out, maybe what one of their needs would be or one of their whys would be, it's going to be really hard for me to connect the dots at the end. So that's number one. Make sure that you show up early. My number two is leave your junk at the door. So this can be really difficult, sometimes in life. And I know for me, I no longer work as a registered nurse, but before, I was working, during the day as a nurse. I was not getting to go to the bathroom. I wasn't able to take lunch when I wanted to take lunch, and sometimes I was kind of hangry, right? And I remember having these bad days at work, and I would be driving to a group presentation, and I had to work extra hard to exhale and get all the life junk out of my way so that when I walked into that group presentation, I was fresh and I was ready to go. So whatever junk you have going on in life, at work, whatever that is, leave it at the door, because I've seen this happen before. We can walk in, and we're so busy sharing our junk that we're the ones being interesting, and we're talking way too much instead of being interested in our host or offering to help, or even interested in the people who are walking into the group presentation. So leave your junk at the door. Number three, come with the expectation to every single presentation that you do. Show up and expect to serve and to make new friends. So I don't ever want you to walk into a group presentation and be bummed out that you sold a lip balm. And I wanted to make sure that I put that point in there, because sometimes, you guys, it's not necessarily all about the total QV. Now, I know that we need QV to move up and promote in this business, but if you go into every group presentation with the heart to serve and make friends, you're never going to leave feeling like you had a bad presentation. So it's just going to put you in the right mindset, because the more that you can free yourself up to love on other people and to conversate with other people, the more successful your event will be. And I just always think about presentations like, one of the girls on my team that I know will be a national vice president in this business one day showed up and bought a lipstick. I remember hearing Beth's story about how she didn't buy anything from Carlita, but it was the touch that was the most important part, right? So free yourself up, detach yourself from the outcome, and just go in and love on others and look to make friends. So number four, practice, 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 and practice some more. So my biggest thing is, don't let your practice be your party. If you're not practicing before your party or before your group presentation, you're going to have a really hard time feeling like you're doing things effectively. And you're never going to feel like, oh gosh, I just nailed that group presentation. Because if you're only practicing once, like if you have one presentation this week and one presentation next week, we should all be doing 2 presentations this week and 2 presentations the next, right? But sometimes it doesn't always work out that way. Guys, that's not enough practice. So make sure that practice, practice, practice. I remember practicing in my car on my way to group presentations. I remember practicing in my car on my way home from group presentations. I would talk out loud. I would listen to myself talk. Sorry, I have a helper. I would talk out loud. I would listen to myself talk, and I would say, oh no, that doesn't sound right. And I think the things to remember the most are to practice your I story in your close over and over and over. And next week, I'm actually going to be training more in detail on your I story in your close. So I'm not going to go too far into that, but just making sure that those things, because they're not wrote down on bullet points on your note cards, right? Because your I story really is your personal story coming from the heart. And then the close, we'll talk about that next week, but we're actually going to go into detail and break things down so that people can understand, but you have to practice that. And so it's also good for us to remember, if you're watching this as a new consultant, or if you are assisting a new consultant in launching their business, that they take that seriously and that they're practicing before they just show up. Because I've seen consultants, I'm like, hey, are you ready? Are you prepared? And then they pick up the note cards and they're like, yeah, sure, I've got it. And that's their first practice run, right? So we want to make sure that we're taking this seriously enough that we practice beforehand. Number 5, connect with your guests through your I story. Again, I'm going to elaborate a little bit more on this next week, but I want you to practice your I story so well that you can alter it, because again, you're going to arrive early, you're going to set up early, and you're going to know people. You're going to know where they work. You're going to know how many kids they have. You're going to know what they do because you're going to be chatting with them. So when you get up there to share your I story, I want you to be able to connect and alter whatever your story is. Like for me, I had 3 jobs as a registered nurse. So if I'm talking to a group of stay-at-home moms, I will alter my I story to say something like, I've always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but I know that you guys know sometimes it feels good to get away from our kids. And I'll kind of laugh. But you guys, before I was good enough to alter my story, I would just say, I want to be at home with my kids. I want to be at home with my kids. I want to be at home with my kids. But when I was talking to a mom who was at home with her kids all day, every day, she was thinking, good Lord, I just want to get away from my kids. So we have to make sure that we know our I story well enough that we can just tweak little things. And that will help you connect with your guests, connect with your audience. So number 6 is to be interested in others and not interesting. And I've kind of already touched on that. Make sure that you are not the one that's talk, 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 talk. Make sure that you are the one that has your listening ears on. Because the more you can listen to what others have to say, the better you're going to be able to close out your group presentation and put little plugs for Arbonne. Number 7, and this is probably the most important, so make sure you put an asterisk beside this. Do not deviate from your note cards. This is crucial, you guys, and trust me, I have done this and I have learned it the hard way. Do not deviate from your note cards, and I'm going to tell you guys why. Everything that everyone needs to know is found on those note cards. So this is what happens. You will have certain groups of people that want more, and then you're going to have certain groups of people that want less. So what I have found is that when you give the information exactly as it is on the note cards, the people who want more will ask you for more afterwards. The people who don't want more, they have just enough. So you're delivering the information as is. I have been the girl at the party that has the product knowledge guide printed out for every single thing, the face wash, the toner, the serum, the eye cream. Guys, it is not helpful to pull out that product knowledge guide and read it about the face wash. I know that sometimes in our brains, some of us are wired that way, and we think that more is more, and it's not. More is not more. So make sure that you are keeping the note cards as is. Do not deviate from the note cards, because you won't be able to duplicate that. Because what if you're at a group presentation and you are the person who is more. I want more. I want to understand more. I want to see more, know more, do more. But there's a person at that group presentation that desperately needs the income attached to this opportunity, but they can't see it because in their head they're like, gosh, I could never say everything that girl just said. I'm not smart enough. I don't know enough. I don't know how she does it. So guys, when we keep to the note cards, we just show everyone that what we do is simple, and we're also able to duplicate ourselves more effectively. Now, personal stories and testimonies, are an exception to that, because I know when I talk about healthy living, I share my personal healthy living testimony, my mom's personal healthy living testimony. But again, that's just a plug, but I'm saying exactly what the note cards say about the healthy living, the RA9, and the makeup, and nothing more. Private conversations can happen afterwards, but for respect for everyone else in the room, simplicity, duplication, stay to your note cards. Number 8 is closing out your group presentation strong, obviously, breaking down ASVP packs. So I'm going to show you guys how I like to close next week. I love to break down the ASVPs so that people can see the value in the package. So I love to let people know that you're getting European standard, anti-aging, best of the best, creme de la creme, $36 per product. You guys, people can swallow $36, right? That's a bite-sized piece. So when they hear that, they're like, oh my gosh, yeah, I'm totally throwing like 40 or $50 down the drain every time I grab a night cream. I can switch my products and I could be grabbing a whole heck of a lot more for $36 a piece. It just makes sense. So that's my number 8. My number 9 is to give away the farm to get bookings. And so last week, sorry. I had something in my throat. Last week we got to hear from Terry Wilson about bookings. And so I'm not going to go too deep into that either, because you can also reference that quick 15-minute training about how to get bookings. For me personally, you guys, I like to offer 50% off. I have a hot date card, and we have a new hot date card that you can get from bethgallardi.com. It's beautiful. And so you can actually just put what dates you have available. And so make sure that you're doing that before your group presentation. When I'm closing out, my verbiage is, I have a couple of dates set aside over there. And when you pick one of those dates, you're actually going to get 50% off plus whatever else I have. And whatever else I have is usually, it's changing. So like we've had the surprise and delight bags. I took the surprise and delight bag. I just rolled the paper down, because you guys, simplicity is key in my life with 3 kids. I just rolled the plastic down and I said, when you book from one of those dates, you're going to get 50% off. Plus you're going to get to pick a product out of that bag. It was like my magic hat, right? Before the surprise and delight bags, I would literally go to the dollar store and get like little dollar cosmetic bags and a loofah for like, 50 cents or whatever, and stick samples in there. When you book on one of those dates, you're going to get 50% off plus one of those cute little gifts I have. So making sure that you're giving away the farm to get bookings, because and we talked about this last week, or Terry Wilson did, I would much rather give away the farm to get bookings than have to pick up the phone every single month to make phone calls. So number 10, you guys, and this is my last point, to having a great event. Ask, and ask again. So when you do all of that, when you go through your iStory, when you go through the nuts and bolts on the note cards, when you close out your group presentation, you're not done yet. You're actually just getting started, because this is where the magic happens. You're going to go sit down with someone at the close table, and they're going to tell you the products that they want. They don't know. I mean, they kind of sort of know because you told them about becoming a preferred client, but they still don't fully understand the value in being a preferred client, the value in hosting a group presentation, and they really still don't understand the value in the business. So this is your one-on-one time to sit and chat with them and help them to understand, and it's just by asking questions. And so you guys, there's never a question that's dumb, right? So when I sit down with someone, and I really think that it's all about your facial expression and the way that you respond to whatever it is that they say. So when I have someone, they'll sit down, they'll give me their order, and maybe it's like 3 or 4 things. And I'm like, hey, so were you interested in picking one of those dates that I had over there so that I could actually give you 50% off your order tonight? She's like, oh, I don't know. Like, what do I have to do? I immediately come back. I'm like, oh girl, it's seriously so easy. All you have to do is just have like 3 people come over. Seriously, you don't even have to put any snacks out, and then I will just come and pamper you guys. But if I didn't respond with, oh girl, it's so easy. If I responded with, well, it's totally up to you. Just take a look at your calendar. I know that like life can be crazy. I totally get that. Just check with your friends. If I come back as like scared because of what she said, she's never going to book with me. And it's also like that about the business. If you sit down with someone and you're like, hey, I noticed that you answered yes, or you got all the points for the ticket game or the coin game that we played, whatever you guys play in your group presentations. Have you ever thought about doing something like this? Because I think you would be awesome. And then when their response is, oh gosh, Whitney, no, I could never do something like this, I will look at them and I'm like, seriously? Because I think you would be awesome. I mean, girl, what about blah, 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 blah. And so it's all in your response. So you have to ask questions, ask more questions, and then ask again, because they are not going to come sit down with you and say, I want to book a group presentation. I want to become a preferred client tonight. And by the way, I'm going to start the business with you next month. Because, I mean, you may have one person in your career of Arbonne that does that, but most people don't come and say all of those things to you guys. You guys, most people need us to ask again. It's like they're trying to talk themselves out of what they believed for 2 seconds was possible or was a good idea. And then the moment they sit down with you, they're still trying to talk themselves out of it, right? So make sure, in order to get bookings and get, people to host group presentations for you, meet with you for coffee, talk to you about the business, to sign up to do the business, you have to ask questions. And another, just fun tip, you guys, is just be creative when you're at your group presentations. Every group presentation goes differently. You have to be able to go with the flow. And I was so uptight when I started this business. And I remember Beth making me feel so at ease, because she would say things like, oh, I've knocked over my RE9 set, and I've, fallen on my face walking into a group presentation. And I remember thinking, okay, it's okay. I don't have to be perfect. You guys, 3 weeks ago, as a regional vice president, I'm reading over my note cards, and I said, we test on animals. I said, we only test on animals. Like, guys, we do not test on animals. And I totally took a step back and started laughing at myself. So have fun at your group presentations. Be creative. Be willing to just think on your toes. And if you feel like you've sat down with 1 or 2 people and you haven't made any headway, if you feel like, gosh, that girl didn't book, that girl didn't book, that girl didn't book, I've got 1 girl left, you better make sure that you're willing to pull out the stops. And when that last person comes over to the table, make sure that you are not leaving a group presentation without getting something on your books, because I promise you, you will kick yourself later. But if you implement these things, if you're showing up early, if you're leaving all of your head junk at the door, if you come with the expectation to make friends and just smile and love other people, if you're practicing, you're not letting the performance is the group presentation, don't let that be your practice. Be prepared before. If you're connecting with your guests through your iStory, if you're being interested in others, if you're not deviating from the note cards, if you're closing out strong, breaking down ASVPs, if you're giving things away to get bookings and you're asking questions, you will, every single time, you will walk in and you will walk away feeling accomplished and like you have made headway in your business. And most importantly, you guys, you're adding people to your 100-person contact list. So that's all I have today about doing group presentations. And I hope that information was helpful for you guys.